$4 million, one ticket, two people who swore they'll never divorce. If you woke up with $4 million tomorrow, would your relationship survive the year? Most of you just said yes. Mark and Theresa said yes too. They were wrong. Hi, I'm Alec. I'm a psychologist with 20 years of experience. I hold a degree in this work. And what you are about to hear is a real story. Anonymous, personal, the kind someone told me in this office. I changed the names, the details, the voices, but I did not change the pain. I didn't change the truth. I share these stories not because I am allowed to, but because somewhere right now, someone is sitting in the dark thinking they are alone, that no one would understand, that is too shameful to even ask for help. These stories are not advice, they are mirrors. Look into them. If you see yourself or someone you love, then this recording is not an accident. Like this video if you believe that silence kills more often than mistakes do. And subscribe, because the next story is already waiting outside the door. Let's begin. There is a specific kind of silence that lives inside the house that used to have furniture. Not the silence of peace, the silence of things that have been solved. The silence belonged to Mark and Theresa. They had been married for 19 years. Mark drove a delivery van for a bakery. Theresa worked the front desk at a budget motel. They had two kids, Brandon, 17, and Ellie, 12. They rented a small duplex with a backyard the size of a bedroom. Every month they were $300 short. Every month they borrowed from somewhere. Every month they promised if it would the last time. Then one Saturday, Mark stopped for gas. Theresa was in a passenger seat. They bought a lottery ticket together, $5. Random numbers. Mark handed the cashier the money. Theresa held the ticket. That night, they won. Not a small win, a life-changing win. $4 million. After taxes lump sum, 2.4 million. They didn't scream, they didn't cry, they sat on their cracked vinyl couch and held hands so tight their knuckles turned white. Theresa whispered, "We are safe." Mark whispered back, "We are free." For exactly 2 weeks they were smart. They met a financial advisor. They paid off their debts. They put money aside for the kids' college. They bought a modest house, not a mansion, just a house with a yard and a garage that closed. Then something shifted, and it shifted in both of them at the same time. It started with a car. Mark wanted a truck, a reasonable truck. Theresa said, "You deserve it." Then Theresa wanted a kitchen renovation. Mark said, "You deserve it." Then Mark bought a watch. Then Theresa bought a necklace. Then Mark bought a boat. Then Theresa bought a vacation timeshare. Within 3 months, they had spent $400,000. Not on anything permanent. Mark stopped going to work. Not officially, he just stopped showing up. He told himself he was taking a sabbatical. Theresa quit her job too. She told herself she was focusing on the family. But the family was already drifting. Brandon, their 17-year-old, watched his parents come home with shopping bags every night. He watched them drink wine at noon. He stopped doing his homework. He stopped caring. Ellie, the 12-year-old, started having nightmares. She didn't know why. She just knew the house felt different. The walls felt thinner. Then the drinking started, not together, separately. Mark would sit in the garage with the boat. He never launched, drinking whiskey from the bottle. Theresa would sit in the new kitchen with the marble countertops, drinking Chardonnay from a glass that cost $80. They stopped eating dinner together. They stopped sleeping in the same bed. Mark started staying out late. Theresa stopped asking where he went. The affair came first from Mark. A woman he met at a bar, young, loud. She laughed at his jokes. She called him big spender. He bought her a car, not a cheap car, a new car. Teresa found out because she checked the bank account, something they used to do together, but now did alone. She saw the withdrawal, $25,000, then another, then another. She didn't control him. She got even. Teresa reconnected with an old boyfriend on social media. He lived 3 states away. She flew to see him. First class. She told Mark she was visiting her sister. She came back with new errands and a smile that didn't belong to him. By the end of year one, the money was bleeding. The financial advisor had quit after Mark called him a pencil pusher who didn't understand freedom. The college funds had been raided for a trip to Europe that Ellie didn't want to go on. The boat had been crashed. The truck had been repossessed and then bought back with money they didn't have. Year two was worse. Mark's drinking became daily. He lost the ability to feel drunk. He just felt absent. Teresa's affair became a relationship. She stopped pretending to visit her sister. She just left. Brandon dropped out of high school. He moved into the basement. He did not talk to anyone. Ellie stopped drawing. She stopped talking at all. She would sit in her room and stare at the wall. The divorce came in the middle of year two. It was not a fight, it was a surrender. They split what was left, $600,000. Lawyers took 150,000. Then the takes came, then the fees, then the penalties for early withdrawal from accounts that shouldn't have been touched. Mark moved into an apartment above a garage. He brought the whiskey and the memory of a boat. Teresa moved into a studio near the airport. She brought the Chardonnay glasses and a picture of her and Mark from the country fair, 19 years early, when they were both smiling. By the year, the money was gone, every dollar. $4 million gross. 2.4 million after taxes. Spent, gifted, gambled, drunk, flown, driving, crashed, and burned. Mark called me first. He showed up to my office in a jacket that was too thin for winter. He smelled like regret. He sat on the couch and said, Alec, I had $4 million. Now I have a garnished wage from a bakery that doesn't want me back. I asked him, what do you miss most? He thought for a long time. Then he said, the night we won. When we held hands on the vinyl couch, Theresa said, we are safe. I believed her. For 2 weeks, I was a good man. Theresa came to see me 6 months later. She looked smaller than in the picture Mark had showed me. She sat in the same chair. She said, I have a collection of $80 wine glasses and no wine to put in them. I sold the necklace. I sold the earnings. The man I left Mark for left me when the money ran out. I asked her, do you miss Mark? She didn't answer for a full minute. Then she said, I miss the man who held my hand on the vinyl couch. That man died the moment we cashed the ticket. I killed him. He killed me. We killed each other. Today, Mark lives in a single room. He works double shift at a warehouse. He spends 60% on his paycheck to Ellie, who is in therapy for selective mutism. Brandon is in a recovery program for substance use, not his parents' drugs, his own. The apple did not fall far. Theresa works 2 jobs, cleaning and cashiering, the same job she had before the win, the same sad eyes, the same tired feet. They see each other once a month at Alice therapy appointments. They sit on opposite sides of the waiting room. They don't speak, but sometimes Theresa told me Mark looks at her and she looks back, and in that look there is no love, no hate, just the question, what if we had never bought that ticket? Here is my question to you, and I want you to see it with it before you answer in the comments. Mark and Theresa won $4 million together. They lost it together. But their children lost more. Brandon lost his future. Ellie lost her voice. The money didn't just ruin a marriage, it ruined a family. Some of you will say, they were weak. The same people don't become monsters just because they have money. The fault is in them, not the ticket. Others will say, money is a magnifying glass. It shows you who you really are. Mark and Theresa were always going to break. The lottery just paid for the demolition. I don't have the answer. Mark and Theresa don't either. Mark asked me once, Alec, if you could go back to the gas station, would you tell us to tear up the ticket? I told him the truth. I would tell you to buy the ticket. Then I would tell you to put it in the drawer for 1 year and not touch it, not $1, because the money was not the problem. The speed was. You don't have time to become different people. You just had time to become worse version of yourselves. Now I am asking you, what would you tell Mark and Theresa? And are you ready to get huge money? Type in the comments. And if you want to hear more stories of people trying themselves back together after breaking everything, hit subscribe. Because this channel is not about easy answer. It's about saving yourself. This is Alex Sessions. See you in the next session.